I hadn't given a lot of thought to my own personal undergraduate experience prior to being introduced to Melinda Karp and the things that were happening at SLIC. And I remember watching the video of her and distinctly remember going back in my mind to my own experience and saying, yeah, there was something to me assuming the role of a college student and enjoying success along the same trajectory. Those two things were connected. And that wasn't something that I'd thought about before. But there's something to having them assuming the role, seeing themselves as a college student and being able to effectively and successfully function as a college student. I think there's a lot to that. And then, so what I do, and I'm now much more conscious of, is the two concepts that SLIC has talked about and Brandon's talked about, is this idea that their self-assessment skills need to improve. And after hearing that and then watching them this year, I wish you guys could have come watched this group at the beginning of the year. Their inability to self-assess was striking. When I first am teaching during the course of the year, and most of it is classroom instruction with PowerPoints or on the board, they're slow to talk in class. They're definitely not self-advocating. Once we get back here and start to mingle, and they find that they are more responsible for more and more individually and collectively as members of a group, and then they're talking to me, asking me where equipment is or whatever, that goes away very quickly. And this aspect of this classroom and the lab component of it may be an important factor to helping get over the self-advocacy. What I've done in the past is I'll work through a bunch of them until I can kind of tell by their body language and facial expressions that they've hit a point where they've seen it enough, and then I'll say, who wants to take a shot at it? And we'll talk you through it. And then you get the courageous ones up there first, and then you say, good, and then maybe the next time around you pick somebody that's a little hesitant to raise their hands and say, we'll talk you through it. Come on up here, you know. And we'll do that. But like I said, when we're all back here intermingling, and some people are further along in the lab activity than others, and some people are still struggling with exactly the number they need to weigh out in a material or make a measurement, we'll go to that board, or we'll do it right there on the paper or whatever, and that breaks barriers. It really does. It's like once they've been through that a few times, and they actually like working it in front of me on their lab notebook, because then they don't have to do it again. It's in there, right? Once that happens, then getting them to go up there and do it during a lecture, yeah, they just do it. I can tell you this right off the top of my head, without even looking, I have the test written. There's no back titration problem, which everybody should be thrilled about. Yeah, because the back titration problems are hard, right?
What if I want one?
Do you want one? Okay, I'll write that down. How do I write a test for just one person? That's not fair, I can't do that. But Annika is requesting a back titration problem. That's a great way to lose friends in here. Do you have the actual example that we worked through in the lab? Do you have that data in your lab notebook?
That you gave us to study for the test, because there's going to be back titration questions.
I think I did one in my lab notebook, just because I think I did the one you guys did. Where's my lab notebook?
Look, I have them right here. And they're folded perfectly.
Okay, as a teacher, it just thrills me that you're so attached to these back titration, but as a human being, I'm worried that you're so attached to these. I love it, but...
I have Annika's method for back titration right here.
Yeah.
Annika's method? Can you work through it?
Possibly.
Bring it up. Let's see it. I want to see you work through it. This is the scariest thing that's happened to me as a teacher.
I'm absolutely terrified.
No, you shouldn't be, because if you get Annika's method wrong, you're going to have to deal with her. That's a different thing. Let's see it, man. Don't mess this up, Caleb. Question. As you saw from the interaction, Annika's not scared to get up in front of the class and do it. She's very confident at this point. Caleb is less confident, and so that's why I purposely wanted him to come up to do it, because he's the one that had to learn it from her and is still trying to feel like he's got it down, you know. But in the absence of having these interactions in the lab where they're doing it in front of me just because they have to get it in their lab notebook, you would just have to figure out ways, and I'd have to think this through, how do I get the less confident students feeling good enough to the point where they're ready to get up in front of the board? And I guess the way to start it is let the confident ones get up there, and the ones that want to show you they know how to do it, let them do it a few times. We do this on occasion. I'll say, let's talk each other through it. Let's talk the person at the board through it. I think it takes the pressure off of them to be the person to carry the load, knowing that the classroom's ready to say, in an encouraging and positive way, no, not quite that. Let's don't do that. Do this, and there's that interaction going on. It seems to help the ones that are less confident want to work through it. But at first, it is a challenge. These kids either they want to jump up and show everybody they know how to do it, or they have no intention of going up there at all. And there doesn't seem to be much of a happy medium in the beginning. Caleb, we're all familiar with Annika's work. You don't want to make a mistake here. We'll talk you through it.
I don't have
Give us
my
the
okay.
question, Caleb.
Does he have the question? Do you have the question?
Here, I'll give you the questions.
Okay. This is freaking me out. Go ahead. How do you have that still? Go ahead.
Well, which one do you want to do?
I don't know.
I don't even know why I come to work. You guys can just do this without me. Go ahead, let's see it. Annika's going to teach the class next year. Okay, so now this is the Annika method.
No, there's a second part.
'Kay.
The back part.
Right, but what I'm saying is this is not the way I taught it, and this is what generated the Annika method, is she didn't like my way. So she went and found it on the internet and found a better way, which I dispute that it's better, but if it works for you, it is better.
The professor who wrote the paper.
I'm trying not to take that personally. Okay, go ahead. Let's see how this works.
I'm just gonna write down exactly.
The YouTube famous professor, go ahead.
Not YouTube.
Where was it?
It was a PDF with his, it was written.
Oh, then it must be official. Okay, all right. You saw what just happened. I mean, Annika has her own way to do the back titration problem. She went to figure it out because she was able to assess that the way I was teaching it was not working for her, and went out and found somebody that taught it in a way that she understood better and does it. That was a transformation that's taken a good part of the year. I should probably give you just a little bit of a backstory with her. When she started this class, she had absolutely no intention of ever doing anything in science. In fact, just finished her, she's got her cosmetology license now and is actually working as a cosmetologist at the time she was completing it. Said right out, I have no intention of ever doing. And through this process of her demonstrating some clear talent, I mean, I think that was obvious. She's a very talented young lady in this area, very bright, didn't understand that she had those gifts and talents at all, and has come to that understanding now, and is now considering strongly, well, she's going to go off to college and study science, and has that desire, and sees in herself the ability to be successful at it, and so I'm shocked that it's taken her this long, to be honest. She's very bright, but had never considered it before. So with that in mind, the fact that she was so assertively connected to this back titration discovery on her own, that's probably, I would guess, because that was the first time she'd ever gone and looked for a new way to do something in a science class where she didn't like the way it was being explained, and found a way that she really liked and found a way to explain it to other students. I'm guessing, I've never asked her, that that's a first for her. That whole process is a first for her. That's awesome, right? I mean, because now she's got more confidence than she knows what to do with, and is reevaluating the course of her life and considering science for the first time, which to me is as good as it gets as a teacher. But that process for her happened over the course of that 9 months, and the trajectory's been a positive one, but it's had its bumps. She's had her moments, I think her going through that process and gaining confidence from it was much more effective than the actual content. I mean, because for her, as I've watched her, that was a significant part of her self-discovery process, you know what I mean? Like, she's now views herself as a potential scientist and is now off to college with the intent to pursue some area of science, which was totally not something she was considering when she started. But
Laid out.
yeah, this is A, B, and C. I remember now, So this is where she showed me stepwise how messed up my method was. I remember, like step A, this is where you screwed up and did this. The way I learned to do it was I was tracking the number of moles at each step, and you don't like that because it's too many steps. That's about right, right? Yeah, you don't like my way, I remember. So apparently this is and I should write a book now. So if you teach something badly enough that your students have to go find it on the internet the right way, this is the anti-Socratic teaching method. The Annika method. Okay, all right.
It's just, I don't know, it makes sense and bring a lot more.
No, I'm not offended by that. I love that you have something that works for you.
If it makes sense to me.
Did it make sense to you more, Caleb, than what I was doing?
Oh, yeah.
Sarah, did you like my way of doing it?
Yeah. That's the way I use.
You use my way?
Yeah, I even still have the notes from the time
I see that.
I keep
My
own
way's
track
pretty
of the
good.
next step.
I just want you guys to find the way that works for you. That's what I want. So taking those two measures of potential success of a college student, self-assessment and accurate self-assessment, effective self-advocacy, and trying to come up with ways to help them make those two improvements is how I try to make the concurrent enrollment experience something that helps them transition into and become college students.